Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the September 8th, 2020 Informal Commission meeting. We have two people that have requested to address the commission. For those that will be addressing the commission, we'd ask that you come to this microphone here, give us your name and your address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. At the end of 3 minutes, you'll hear an alarm go off, and we'd ask that you try to wrap those comments up at that time. The first person that's requested to speak to the commission is Mr. Chris Blackwell.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. Chris Blackwell, 2091 Bend Road, Clarksville. I'm here to speak just a little bit about the CZ8 2020, the Wallace property that was turned down in June. I'm trying to get it reheard and approved that was turned down in June by this board. I noticed in August there was the same style development. It all got approved in August. It was the same size, same school district. And then when we went through in June, I felt like, all our timelines lined up with the schools and the road projects, and it just didn't pan out. But anyway, I would like to see if we can get this reheard and go through. If I could start the process tomorrow, which I can't, the first house in this development would not be ready till September, October of 2022. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. So any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. I think Mr. Blackwell's speaking in regard to Resolution 2913, which is on your agenda tonight. Next, we have Mr. George Dean.
It's okay, I'm going to take off the mask just temporarily. My name is George Dean. I'm an attorney from Nashville, speaking on the same project that Mr. Blackman was here talking about just a minute ago. The same resolution before the commission tonight and next Monday, I guess. I wanted to emphasize several things. As many of you know, I imagine most of you were here at the original hearing back in June, as I understand it. The zoning change applied for was from agricultural to R1. It's about 320 acres in size, but only because of the topography on the property, really only about 300 units that can be achieved on the property. Very similar to the property that you considered in August, the Oliver property, I believe it is, which was smaller, about 130 acres in size, same zoning change from agricultural to R1, and approximately the same number of units, the Oliver property, 250, the project I'm speaking on behalf of being approximately 300. The point I'm trying to make is that the properties were somewhat similar, same area of town as Chris just mentioned, same school district. There are several differences if you look at the maps, though. The maps that accompanied the Wallace application that I'm here in favor of and asking that the commission allow reconsideration for had a number of properties that are zoned in the immediate vicinity R1, also achieved a recommendation of approval from the staff of the Planning Commission, got a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission itself. The other property did not. The main point for me to emphasize is that if the Oliver property, which was approved last month, was appropriate for R1, that it seems highly likely that it would also be the case that the Wallasey property would be appropriate for R1. Both of the properties have similar kinds of factors in their favor, but as I mentioned, the Wallace property had a number of single-family residential properties around it, whereas the Oliver property, essentially, if you look at it on the map, looks a little like a spot zone. Some of the recommendations from the Planning Commission emphasized that there was no adverse environmental issues. It complied with the land use map, whereas the one that was approved last month actually did not comply with the long-term general plan of the property. So it seems like it would be a very worthwhile kind of thing to reconsider the Wallace property. And in a way, it's unfair to Mr. Wallace. He'd like to get a chance to try to explain it again to the members of the commission, and as a result, asked for the commission to consider allowing a rehearing. I guess the rehearing would be before the planning commission before it came back to the commission. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I think that one of the new fancy things about our system, the microphone cuts off after 3 minutes, Skip. So hopefully y'all heard Mr. Dean's couple of comments that were missed. All right. We'll now call our informal meeting to order. First item on our agenda is our presentation from our trustee, Ms. Kimberly Wiggins, on the hotel motel tax quarterly update. Ms. Wiggins, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening to this honorable commission. I first want to thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to move this presentation. As you all may recall, if you're like me, you keep a calendar, this presentation was due last month, but there was a very important piece missing. I love that Stone, Rudolph, and Henry is very attentive. They get me the report, but I was getting the report only a week before I had time to take action on it, which is not fair. Reporting is the right thing, but action is what you really want to hear, is what happens after they've had an audit. So I take this responsibility very seriously. So you'll hear from me today around what the last audit was, what we've done, and what we've collected. So I'll turn it over to Ben Carroll to get us started, to tell us about our second quarter audit.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ben Carroll from Stone, Rudolph, and Henry. We conducted the second quarter audit. So this was the last audit, is the second quarter, but is the fourth period really audited during the fiscal year. So it rounded out the 40-plus hotels, motels that are within the Montgomery County, Clarksville area. So we audit each hotel one time during the fiscal year. They're divided up quarterly, so approximately 25% audited each quarter. This quarter, we looked at 12 new hotels, and we also had 2 carryovers from prior quarters where they had failed to get us the information in a timely manner, so we carried them forward rather than just skipping them. So we picked those up this quarter as well. This quarter actually resulted in some of the best financially from a standpoint that we've had each quarter. So we've seen steady improvement each time. So I think this has been a worthwhile effort. It's assisting Ms. Wiggins and their office ensuring that the local hotels are compliant on the remitting occupancy tax that should be remitted. I know she's excited to tell you that some of the achievements they've made in collecting some of the ones we've reported on in prior quarters that had failed to remit the proper amount and whatnot. I trust you guys had a chance to review the report. I'll be happy to answer any questions before she gives you a status update on some of their collection efforts.
Any questions of Mr. Carroll? Thank you, sir.
All right, so I want to go back to quarter because we had a large item on our audit. It's Hotel QI, and per that audit, it turned out to be an educational moment. There were some documents they were not completing correctly. The finding from the audit said they owed us $11,574. When we corrected that, amended the documents, they owed us $6,602.87. That amount has been collected. Then Hotel CY owed us an overall balance of $865.04. Right after we made the report in May, they have paid that amount in full. We also found that Hotel VP had underpaid us, and in that case, being fair, we allowed them to take a credit the following month. That has happened. Then we'll go to our first quarter 2020 report. We had 9 entities that ended up being audited. He talked about the carryover. 4 had overpaid, but 3 had actually underpaid. So of course, with the overpayments, they're allowed to take a credit the following month. And there's only 1 who hasn't taken their credit of $129. All other outstanding balances have been paid. And then second quarter that he just reported on, because he gave us that report and we now had 4 weeks to collect on it, it rounded out all of our audits. There were 14 completed. 5 hotels had overpaid, 8 underpaid. 1 of the hotels who overpaid since has closed, so we did remit them a check for $23.81. And then 5 of those did not submit their 30-day exemption reports. Therefore, their audits are still open. Lastly, one form that we sent that Shelley put in your packet was when Stone, Rudolph, and Henry was auditing the hotels that specifically deal with long-term rentals, people stay there for months at a time. Some of them have unique software that automatically refunds that first 30 days of occupancy tax. Stone, Rudolph, and Henry gave us a recommendation to update our form, and we put that in your packet with a red box around it, so it should clean up some of that back and forth between us and the hotel, where you hear us say we have a carryover because they don't understand our paperwork and we didn't understand theirs. So I think we're all on the same page now. What questions do you have for me?
Any questions of Ms. Wiggins? I see no questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You have a great evening.
Yes, sir.
Kenneth Skip's going to get up there and you're going to have to do it again. Nope, you got to tell me about stuff like that. Sorry. You can show it, at the formal.
Okay, we'll do that.
Commissioners, next item on our agenda is public hearing zoning resolution, CZ 15, 2020, application of Norma C. Rollins Jr. Trust and Angie Rollins from AG to M2. Mr. Tyndall.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Good to be back here at the podium. This first request today is the request of Norman C. Rollins Jr. The agent is Alan Mosier. It's our application CZ 15 2020. It's 152.42 acres, currently zoned agriculture, ag, and proposed to go to M2. And this is this is an extension of the zoning classification. It's on Guthrie Highway, approximately 1,460 feet east of Guthrie Highway International Boulevard intersection. It is in County Commission District 19. It's an existing home site with rolling hills and varying topography. The parcel is this is the applicant's statement. The parcel is adjacent to the industrial park. With recent approval of the additional adjacent parcel from Ag to M2, the owners are seeking to match the surrounding zoning for future development. And just for reference, the parcel to the east and southeast was the Allensworth property, which was zoned 2 months ago by this commission, also to M2 in the dark gray there. So this property is basically kind of continues the M2 from the Google property all the way down through the Allensworth property on both sides of Guthrie Highway. This is in the rural area of the growth plan. Here's some photos from Guthrie Highway, looking at both sides of the road here. You'll know this area, it's near the convenience site and the fire department that's out there and the EMS station. There's the existing home site on the property. There's the fire department and the EMS station right next to it. Again, on Guthrie Highway. Clarksville Gas and Water stated at this time there's no sewer available, but it's in the region. There were no other department comments or concerns. It's in the Rossview planning area. Staff recommends approval. The proposed zoning request is consistent with the adopted land use plan. The M2 zoning proposal is an extension of the existing M2 to the west, and the proposal will permit the expansion of an established industrial area identified in the land use plan and land use opinion map. The submitted traffic assessment identifies improvements needed to Guthrie Highway. A specific study will be required at the development stage to determine if right-of-way improvements based on the proposed development. No adverse environmental issues were identified with this request. Adequate infrastructure will serve the site. Planning Commission also recommends approval.
Any questions of Mr. Tyndall on CZ 15, 2020? Commissioner Leverett?
Given the meeting we just had, what was the feedback from the school system?
This is an industrial property.
Oh, so those
So-
schools in the area?
They don't typically comment unless it's in the vicinity of a school.
Okay, that's what I need. Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Tyndall? Commissioners, without objection, I'll let him, while he's still at, so we don't have to wipe down and do all that. I'll let Mr. Tyndall present CZ 16-2020, application to Earl Butts from R1C2 to R4. Mr. Tyndall?
Thank you, Mayor. This application is 4.34 acres, currently dual zoned, we'll get to that map, R1 and C2. They're requesting to go to R4. There is R4 on this map in the area down Ross Lane. Reminder, in the county, R4 can either be multifamily or small lot, single-family subdivision. Down on Ross Lane, that's a small lot, single-family subdivision in this instance. So it is not an extension of the zoning classification, but it is nearby. It fronts Dover Road, 495 feet east of the Dover Road Butts Drive intersection, and north of Dover Road, Old Dover Road intersection, and just west of Paul Huff Parkway. This is in County Commission District 10. The existing property has 2 single-family home sites. The structures are in poor condition, and the applicant's statement for the R4 is to allow for the development of townhomes. It is in the urban growth boundary. It's right there before the Dollar General. This is looking back toward the city limits. The property would be on the left where the trees stand behind Dollar General is. This is one of the 2 homes on the properties. Looking a little closer to the east. That is looking west toward Dover and across the street. Also across the street. There's one of the other home sites on the property. And that's looking across to Old Dover Road from the property. Department comments, Clarksville Gas and Water said sewer service only available. This would be in the Woodlawn Utility District for water. We received no concerns from them. Fort Campbell said they had no comment on the zone change. They request when it's developed that it be in compliance with Sabre zoning overlay. This property is actually outside of the Sabre zoning overlay, which requires noise attenuation. They can still request it. It'll be up for the developer to do that or not, but it is outside of that where it's required. Of the school system comments, the sending district is Woodlawn Elementary, New Providence Middle, and Northwest High School. The school system comments are provided, but Woodlawn Elementary is at 100% capacity, New Providence 96% capacity, and Northwest High School 84% capacity. And then it goes on to state how many portables per year, and that there needs to be funding sources for housing development in the region. We're working on the school system to get better comments in the future on these, so that will provide maybe even more information for the commissioners. I think that conversation was started last month. Impacts of this would be just the increased multifamily residential in a busy area already. Estimated amount of lots would be 51 units based on our historical estimates. It's in the Lafayette planning area. Staff recommends approval. The proposed zoning request is consistent with the land use plan. The proposed R4 residential district is not out of character with the established commercial uses in the area. The adopted land use plan states that it's encouraged to maintain a desirable mixture of housing types throughout our community, and adequate infrastructure serves the site, and no adverse environmental issues are identified at this request, and the Planning Commission also recommends approval.
Any questions of Mr. Tyndall? Commissioners? Hit your button to speak.
Jeff, did you say this is Woodlawn or Liberty zoned?
The school system on their comments back said Woodlawn Elementary
Woodlawn?
zone.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Tyndall? Mr. Tyndall, I have 2 questions, if you don't mind. You said, I think you said 51 units, but you said lots too, so it's a total of 51 units?
Yes, for a multifamily, it would be units.
Okay.
Our chart just says units/lots.
And I know that, as you said, this is a busy area. I know you don't look at the site plans on this, but it's a state route, and so all the driveway accesses will have to be approved by the state.
That is correct. We did receive a traffic assessment on this one. Really showed no impact. I mean, Dover Road's already a wide, busy road to begin with. One of the reasons I wanted to show you the Dollar General, and if you look at the overall aerial of the property, there is also the potential to, in the future, if Dollar General cooperates, get a shared driveway through there too, to just keep people from having to drive out to get to either Dollar General or something else right on that intersection, the gas station. Most logical place would be to line up with Old Dover Road for the one driveway out there.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other questions of Mr. Tindall? Thank you, Jeff. We'll now go into public hearing to hear public comments regarding CZ 15-2020 and CZ 16-2020. I would remind anyone that would like to speak on behalf or in opposition to either one of these to please come to the microphone that's being wiped down. Give us your name and your address, and if you would, limit your comments to 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, the microphone's going to turn off, so that'll be a good indication. First of all, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of CZ 15-2020, application of Norma C. Rollins Trust and Angie Rollins from AG to M2? Good evening.
My name's Alan Moser. I live at 175 Porters Bluff Road. I'm the agent on behalf of the applicants, and if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. I think it's a pretty straightforward case, and I'd appreciate your vote to approve the rezoning.
Any questions of Mr. Mosier?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mosier. Anyone else in the audience to speak on behalf of CZ 15-2020? Anyone else to speak on behalf? Anyone to speak in opposition to CZ 15-2020? Anyone to speak in opposition to CZ 15-2020? All right. Anyone in the audience to speak on behalf of CZ 16-2020, application of Earl Butts from R1C2 to R4?
Evening again. I'm here to answer any questions y'all might have for it. A lot of y'all know me. I've been in that
They
area.
may have forgot who you were, Chris.
Oh, Chris Blackwell, sorry, 2091 Bend Road. I've been in that area for 12 years, Liberty Park, over 500 houses. We've done some commercial stuff there, car wash, storages. We got a plan to build a daycare right there, so we're just trying to add to this little community we got going. Is there any questions I can answer?
Any questions of Mr. Blackwell? Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question. Chris, how close is that to the Popper Rock service station there?
It's before the Dollar General, so.
Okay.
I'm not
You got the
for sure.
Dollar General and the Popper Rock next to each other,
It's a little
right?
small strip of vacant property, the Dollar General, a road, and then Papa Rock. Isn't that right, Chris?
That's correct. It's before Butts Lane. Dollar General, then Butts Lane, but I'm before Dollar General. I know I said that backwards.
So you concerned with the access from the highway?
Can I let my engineer answer that?
Sure.
Because there's a question, we probably need to stop the little 3-minute shutter offer thing.
Cal McKay, McKay Burchett Company, engineer for Mr. Blackwell on this project. It actually, there's 2 parcels, so they have 2 driveway ramps to Dover Road already. I don't know if we'll plan on using both of them, but we'll definitely use one of them. But there's no issue from our end from access. Sight distance is good. Traffic flow is kind of less than normal.
So 40 to 45 parcels would be exiting and entering on the driveway that's already
Dover
existing?
Road, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Did I misunderstand? You said 40 or 50 units?
Right.
Exiting on Dover Road?
Well,
Is that what your question
that's,
was?
yeah, my question was
Yes.
about 45 units.
Yes.
Okay.
There's currently 500 and something on Liberty Park that,
But
that exit
this
some-
isn't the Liberty Park parcel, right?
I'm sorry?
It's not connected to Liberty Park.
No,
right?
no.
Then
And
why
shouldn't
would
be.
you bring that up as an example?
Well, you were asking if there was, if 50 units was an issue on Dover Road, and I was saying that it is not an issue.
I was asking specifically about this parcel.
I know, and I answered it. I thought, maybe I didn't.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bryant?
The speed limit in that area is reduced to 20 miles an hour, is that not correct? It goes from, coming from Dover, it goes 60 to 35 to
It's 45.
45?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
I may answer your question to him for him. Any other questions of Mr. Blackwell? Mr. Blackwell, you probably had about a minute left. I don't know if you want to say anything. I know you probably don't.
I'm sure.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else in the audience to speak on behalf of CZ 16-2020? Anyone to speak on behalf of CZ 16-2020? Anyone in the audience to speak in opposition to CZ 16-2020? Anyone to speak in opposition? All right, we'll now close the public hearings. Yeah. Commissioners, we're going to take about a 5-minute recess, please. About a 5-minute recess. Thank you. All right, Commissioners, pardon the recess. We're now back in session. Our first resolution is Resolution 29-1, is a resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners approving amendments to the 2021 CMCSS budget. Any questions on 29-1? Commissioners, you'll note that this item is, with no questions, this item is scheduled for the consent agenda. Resolution 29-2 is a resolution to accept and appropriate funds for Federal Emergency Management and the Department of Homeland Security FY 2020 Assistance to Firefighter Grant COVID-19 Supplemental in the County General Fund. Any questions on 29-2? This item is also set for the consent agenda. Item 29-3, resolution to amend the budget to accept grant funds from the State of Tennessee Department of State Division of Elections using grants authorized by the CARES Act. Any questions on 29-3? Seeing no questions, 29-3 is also scheduled for the consent agenda. 29-4, resolution to accept and appropriate funds from the State of Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration Office of Criminal Justice Programs for the Mental Health Transport Grant Program. Any questions on 29-4? Seeing none, this item is also scheduled for the consent agenda. 29-5 is a resolution to amend the budget to accept joint grant funds from the Bureau of Justice Assistance of the United States Department of Justice. Any questions on 29-5? This item is also slated for the consent agenda. 29-6, a resolution to adopt an interlocal agreement between the City of Clarksville and Montgomery County for joint funding from the Bureau of Justice Assistance of the United States Department of Justice on a joint award of federal burn justice assistant grant funds. Any questions on 29-6? This item is also set for the consent agenda. 29-7 is a resolution to appropriate funds from the Sexual Offender Registry Reserve. Any questions on 29-7? Seeing none, this item is also set for the consent agenda. 29-8, a resolution to authorize Montgomery County to enter into a farm lease agreement for the purposes of maintaining certain portions of the public safety training complex. Any questions on 29-8? Seeing no questions, this item is also set for the consent agenda. 29-9, resolution to adopt the 2021 legislative agenda as presented by the Legislative Liaison Committee. Any questions on 29-9? Commissioners, just as a matter of record, and this item is set for the consent agenda, we will present our legislative agenda and the cities will present theirs. They're not exactly the same legislative agenda items. I just want to make that clear to everyone. 29-10 is a resolution to appropriate funding for the purchase of art using funding from bond proceeds dedicated for such purpose. Any questions on 29-10? Seeing none, Commissioners, that item is also set for the consent agenda. 29-11, resolution to establish Juneteenth as a legal paid holiday for Montgomery County government employees beginning on June 19th, 2021. Any, Commissioner Leverett?
Yes, I think everyone already is very clear on where we stand at this, but I want to reiterate this resolution. This resolution is to allow the employees of Montgomery County to have a holiday, a paid holiday, on a day that is celebrated as American history and is part of our culture here. We are a diverse community and we should celebrate the efforts of all citizens in our community. And so that is the purpose of this resolution. I just want to say I don't understand the controversy of it, but the point is that it is a day to celebrate in Montgomery County, and it is a holiday that has been for 155 years and picking up a lot of recognition throughout the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. Since we passed the budget already, will this have any effect on next year's budget if it passes?
I don't think so. I think we probably discussed that. Those dollars are budgeted anyway for salaries. Jeff, you may want to
Yes, sir.
elaborate on that.
Those dollars are already budgeted for the salary. The only thing you might have a little bit of cost on would be in regards to public safety, public health, who would have to work on that day. And we try to encourage them to take off, to use that holiday time before they take vacation or sick time if possible.
Commissioner Pritchard?
Yes, I just wanted to add that since the last time we had this discussion and now, the state of Tennessee has added Clarksville to their African-American Legacy Trail through the state because of the great diverse people that lived here, worked here, and of course have brought Clarksville to the forefront, especially those minorities that we celebrate. So having Juneteenth as a holiday would only add to the recognition that the state of Tennessee has already given Clarksville by including us in that African-American Legacy Trail. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Harper?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to request it be removed from the consent agenda.
It's not
Oh,
on
okay.
there.
It is.
It's not,
Okay.
no, sir.
Thanks.
Commissioner Knight?
No comments.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions regarding 2911? Resolution 2912 is a resolution to authorize the Regional Planning Commission to rehear a matter. Any discussion on 2912? Seeing none. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Pritchard?
Yes, as far as bringing up resolutions, as I think it has been tradition that when a resolution, if a resolution fails over the years, that we would be allowed to bring that resolution back. As in the case of this one in particular, because circumstances have changed, there are other things that are mitigating factors in it. I don't see any problem with us bringing in a resolution that maybe didn't go over so well the last time, and I don't see the need to file a resolution just to prevent people from being able to do that.
This one, Ms. Pritchard, is actually related to authorizing the Regional Planning Commission to rehear a matter. Mr. Blackwell, the gentleman that spoke during the public comment period, he spoke to that. It was a zoning case that was denied back in August, and the Regional Planning Commission rule requires that this body request the Planning Commission to rehear it. And Mr. Harvey, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it takes a three-quarter majority of those that were present at the last meeting.
Myself.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Harper.
On 2912, I would ask the commission to vote against this. There wasn't any information presented tonight that was new or wasn't presented at the meeting, so I'd appreciate your support on that.
Commissioner Butts.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say just the opposite. I want to give Mr. Blackwell another chance, so I'm asking my fellow commissioners to vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments regarding 2912? Resolution 2913 is a resolution to limit the rehearing of matters by the legislative body previously heard. Any discussion on 2913? Commissioner Knight.
My question, Mayor, is why are we providing this particular resolution? I mean, we have the opportunity to conduct a motion to rescind if required based off of Robert's rules. So why are we bringing this to the legislative body?
You can file a motion to rescind, but a motion to rescind would, this is a resolution of the body similar to the one that the RPC has, similar to the one that many legislative bodies have, that allows a motion to not be rebrought as long as the expiry of 12 months is not passed. It's a very typical one. You do have other options under Robert's Rules of Order, but you can always pass your own rules.
Is this thing on? I do know that with the motion to rescind, it doesn't matter for 12 months. Motion to rescind can go past 12 months,
But
as long
it's-
as you're on the prevailing side, based off of Robert's rule.
But it's an interpretation of a different issue. You can move to rescind a vote, but it's not a single vote. It is the vote of the body. So if a body votes and that vote is tabulated, that vote is calculated, tabulated and tallied, then at the next session, a motion to reconsider could have been heard during that same period. Commissioner, please. And at the next body, a motion to rescind could take place, but the motion to rescind would require a 2/3 vote. This is a totally different function. I mean, you may not like either one of them, or you may like the both or one or the other, but they do two totally separate things. In other words, the 2/3 motion to rescind still lives. You could do that at any time.
Right.
Okay. Commissioner Lewis.
Okay, so you've already heard Ms. Pritchard and Mr. Commissioner Knight. All this is if something fails, instead of us having to hear it 12 times, or until you figure that you're not going to bring it back to this body anymore, it doesn't say you can't bring it back. It says if you bring it back, you got to get 2/3 of majority for us to hear it. It doesn't say you can't bring it back. It says if you bring it back, it has to have 2/3 of the body. Instead of us every month, because something you want to pass keeps coming back, this stops that, or 2/3 of this majority says we don't want to hear it. That's what it says. It doesn't say you can't bring it back. It says if you do, 2/3 of this majority gets to decide whether we want to hear it again or not. Thank you.
Commissioner Knight.
Commissioner Lewis, but that's what we just discussed here 2 seconds ago with Attorney Harvey. A motion to rescind requires that 2/3 vote, so there's not a requirement for Resolution 20-9-13. Based off of Robert's rule, we have that motion to reconsider and/or the motion to rescind. So this is unnecessary, honestly.
Commissioner Tangi Smith.
So just so I'm understanding, 2/3 of a vote, so we would have to have a vote before the vote? A vote to make sure that people wanted to hear it before we came in and voted for it? So a vote before the vote?
Yes. That's correct.
Just making sure I'm tracking. Thanks.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, Montgomery County's been here since 1796, and we've never needed this resolution before. I don't see a reason to need it now. If your dislike for a resolution is spread amongst the members of this body, and it's to such an extent that it cannot pass no matter how many times we bring it back, then what are you worried about? I mean, it's pretty simple. We have never succumbed to mimicry and, well, I saw another group do this and I think this is a great idea, so we won't have to do. I mean, how many times have we had the same resolution come back over and over and over again? I mean, the people that I have heard speak in favor of this have either been here the exact same amount of time I've been here or less. If I haven't seen it, I don't know how you have. I sat in that chair for almost a year before I even ran for this office, and I didn't see it then either. Now, find me some historical justification in Montgomery County government where we need to do this and see if you can change my mind. Thank you.
Commissioner Leverett.
I think Mr. Garland kind of said what I wanted to say, so I don't have anything else.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate Commissioner Lewis bringing this resolution. I hope you will support it.
Any other comments on 2913? All right. Resolution 2914 is a resolution to amend Resolution 25-2, Commissioners, I don't know if any of you, does anybody have any questions about that? Basically, what it's doing, in case there is a question, when we passed that resolution, the city of Clarksville was part of that. Now, with the amendment, the city of Clarksville can be a part of it, but if the city of Clarksville is not a part of it, the agreement with the IDB will still go forward, and as opposed to Montgomery County receiving 75% of any of the land sales proceeds, Montgomery County would receive 100% of the land sale proceeds. Any questions? All right, Resolution 2915, resolution to levy a countywide motor vehicle tax. Any questions regarding 2915? All right, 2916 is a resolution of the County Commission of Montgomery County, Tennessee, authorizing the execution of a purchase agreement and interlocal agreement relating to the acquisition of a site to be used for school facilities. Any questions regarding 2916? Resolution 2917 is a resolution of Montgomery County Board of Commissioners appropriating architect funds through the bidding phase for the construction of the 8th CMCSS Middle School. Any questions regarding 2917? Commissioners, without objection to suspend the rules for 2918, I don't see any objection to hear this. 2918 is a resolution amending the budget of the Montgomery County Capital Projects Fund, appropriating funds received from the governor's local government support grant in amount not to exceed $130,000 for the maintenance and repairs of the South Road at the Montgomery County Public Safety Training Complex. Commissioners, this has been an item that has been before the Public Safety Complex Committee previously. I don't think that if any of us knew we could get the road, that South Road as described, completed for $130,000, that we would have not approved that when we originally voted on it. How that got by us, I do not know, but I can assure you this is wise money spent by Montgomery County to complete this roadway, without a doubt. Any questions? Seeing none. Under unfinished old business, Commissioners, if you recall, back a couple of months ago, we asked the Planning Commission to look at the M2 zoning to make some modifications to it regarding certain uses. That was done through a request from the Industrial Development Board. This body approved it. Typically, Mr. Tyndall would report that back to you on a very timely basis. He has not reported back to you because there is another industry that's kind of in line with the same use that on the changes Mr. Tyndall is preparing. And so I just asked Mr. Tyndall to delay that until something works out with this other company where we don't have to come back and change it again. So I just want to make sure that everybody realizes it's not the Planning Commission delaying this at all. We've just asked them to hold off on it. You'll see, Commissioners, on your reports for approval, and we have all of those will be scheduled for the consent agenda, but the nominating committee does have some nominations in Mr. Gannon, the chairman's absence. I'll ask Mr. Keene to report those.
Thank you, Mayor Durrett. The nominating committee met this afternoon, and on our nominations, first of all, was chairman of the county legislative body, and Mayor Jim Durrett was nominated to serve as chairman. for a one-year term to expire September of 2021. And Chairperson pro tempore of the legislative body was John Gannon, nominated to serve a one-year term to expire September of 2021. The Highway Commission, Ed Groves was nominated to serve a four-year term to expire September of 2024. And Orville Lewis was nominated to serve a four-year term to expire September of 2024. Jeff Bryant, as the Highway Supervisor, was nominated to serve a four-year term to expire on September of 2024. And these will be presented for a vote next week.
Thank you, Commissioner King. Commissioners, under county mayor appointments for the Port Authority, Carl Wilson reappointed to a five-year term to expire September 2025. Beverly Taylor reappointed to a five-year term to expire September 2025. Bryce Sanders reappointed to a five-year term to expire 2025. Under the Sports Authority, Trenton Hassel appointed to fill the unexpired term of David Silvas with a term to expire October 2025. Larry Riccone appointed, I think we have to do something on the Budget Committee, Shelley, but it says appointed as Mayor Pro Tem. Oh, okay. So we'll have something for you on that. Chaplain, Commissioner Joe Creek appointed to serve a one-year term to expire September 2021. Court Security Committee, Wendy Davis as interim circuit court clerk appointed to fill an unexpired term of Cheryl Castle. Judge Katie Olita as presiding judge appointed to replace Judge Ayers with a term to expire September 2021. Personnel Advisory Committee, Commissioner David Harper appointed to fill the unexpired term of Commissioner Brandon Butts with term to expire May 2022. Land Regulation Advisory Committee, Commissioner Walker Woodruff appointed to serve a two-year term to expire September 2022. Commissioner Larry Riccone appointed to serve a two-year term to expire September 2022. And then Lawson Mabry, jointly appointed by County Mayor and City Mayor to serve a two-year term to expire September 2022. Bert Singletary, jointly appointed by County Mayor and City Mayor to serve a two-year term to expire September 2022. And Sid Hedrick, jointly appointed by County Mayor and City Mayor to serve a two-year term to expire September 2022. And those are the county mayor appointments. Commissioners, you'll see under your reports filed, all the reports that are filed. Under our announcements, the legislative agenda reception is being held on Tuesday, September 22nd at 5:30 p.m. at the William O. Beach Civic Hall. If you have not confirmed your attendance, please do so by calling the mayor's office. Commissioners, you've noticed Commissioner Arnold Hodges is not with us tonight. His health is not good right now. He went to the doctor today and has a follow-up on Friday. I would just ask that you continue to keep Commissioner Hodges in your thoughts and prayers. And then I'd like to welcome tonight Nathan McClarty. Nathan, if you would raise your hand. Nathan's an intern in our office. Why he decided to do that, I don't know, but he got him a dose of it this morning, and he's going to keep getting some. And also, it's my pleasure to introduce our new highway superintendent, Mr. Jeff Bryant. Jeff, congratulations. Commissioners, with no further business, we'll stand adjourned.